Hi, I'm Jimmy Colefax, and this is The Story. Our guest today is once again John Reifler, who, along with his wife Honi, are the founders of the Sherwood Christian Rehab Centre near Coffs Harbour in New South Wales. Over the years, countless lives have been impacted by this centre, and Honi has even written a book about the miraculous way God has worked in those people's lives, which she appropriately titled Countless. Right now, John shares some of those stories.
There was a tax man came out to do an audit of your finances, is that right?
Yes, the tax man came.
Yep.
Because we were a registered charity, they came and investigated us, and they thought there was something going on because we had one of the guys that was disgruntled, and we kicked him out for trying to bring drugs in. And then he tried to stop our passport. He tried to say that we had put money in a secret Swiss account and all this sort of stuff. And then the charities department came, and they had two blokes there for 3 days, and they were questioning, and I gave them all the paperwork and everything. And then they came back and said, oh, look, there's a whole lot of all these checks. We want the receipts. And I said, well, you got all the books. You go and find it. I said, you get paid for this. I don't get paid. I said, you go and find it yourself. They came back the next day and they said, we found all the receipts at 1 o'clock this morning. And I said, good on you. Anyway, so we talked. And finally, when they left, I said, have you found anything wrong? And he said, we can't disclose anything. And I said, listen, I demand to know what's going on. And then he finally took me aside and he said, there's nothing wrong. We couldn't find anything. And so they asked around town, and I got a visit from him. Must have been 4 years later or 5 years later. I got a phone call to say, listen, do you remember me? I said, yeah, I do remember you. He said, I'd like to visit you. He came and visited us, and he said, you know, as a result of going back and looking at what happened and investigating you, he said, I've come to know the Lord. He said, I was so intrigued and inquisitive. He said, I started going back to church, and he says, I've got a relationship with Jesus.
Now, he was an atheist when he first came, is that right?
Yeah, he was. He definitely was an unbeliever. He was very skeptical, and he was always having a go at us, and he wouldn't even have a cup of tea. And I said, would you like a cup of tea or coffee? No. And I said, listen, you guys, if you think I can bribe you with a cup of tea, then you shouldn't be in your job. You know, that was a wonderful testimony as well, you know.
Yeah, so what do you think it was that caused him, after spending some time with you and looking at your finances?
I think it's the faith aspect. It's the faith aspect. I think he's not come across anybody before who would actually live by faith and God is actually supplying, because he always asks us, how are you financed? And how does the money come in? And I said, I don't know. We just pray and ask God, and that's it. And if God sees fit, we accept it. God tells us, He gives us the money, and if not, that's it. We pray about something, a project. If the money comes, we do it. If it doesn't come, we don't do it.
Yeah. Wow.
And I had an old lady come for a picnic one day, and she came with a group of people, and she said, John, what are your projects? He says, what are your needs? He said, I'd like to help you. And we've always had a policy. We don't ask people for money. We don't ask for donations. And I said to her, I can't tell you. She says, why can't you tell me? She says, if I want to help you. I said, you know what? You go and ask the Lord what you should be doing. And she got so angry, she nearly swore at me. She said, you are rude. And she says, here I am. I want to help you. And you're just ignoring me. And I said, no, you got it all wrong. Anyway, so she left disgruntled. 5 months later, we got a $500 check from her with a long letter apologising. And she said, John, I've been a Christian for many years. I have never heard anything from the Lord to tell me what to do. And she said, after I spoke to you, and she said, I'm sorry for getting angry, but she said, I asked God, is there anything you want me to do? And she said, he told me clearly at my devotions this morning to give you $500.
Oh, wow.
And she said, thank you. She said, I have never experienced that before. And so that, that's just one of these things.
Yeah, yeah. And how about we wrap up our conversation with a changed life story of one of the people who came to beat an addiction?
We got a phone call. We weren't there very long, most probably. We were there about 2 or 3 years at the rehab. And I got a phone call from the Coffs Harbour Hospital. They say, oh, look, we've got 2 young blokes there on drugs. They're from Western Australia. We've picked them up in the street. The police brought them up here for us to talk to them. They were 16 and 17-year-olds. They'd run away from home. And I said, okay, just give me an hour. I'll come in. So I go to Coffs Harbour Hospital. They met me there, the hospital staff, and said, look, we've got the boys in the office. So I go in the office, and here are the 2 boys. And I said, what are you doing here, boys? I was the last person they wanted to see. I knew their parents.
Oh.
From when I was ministering in Perth.
Oh, wow.
They'd ended up in Coffs Harbour by accident, didn't even know I was here. And so they both came to rehab. I took them home. Both of them came to the Lord. And one guy in particular, after he left Sherwood, he went back to Western Australia, went back to his parents, reconciled with his parents again. Then he went to Weck Bible College, and he's been doing missionary work ever since.
Oh,
even today.
fantastic.
And he got married, and he's still in mission work today. And so we have some people who have become pastors, others who have gone into mission work. We have quite a string of people that have totally changed their lives.
Well, if somebody's listening today and is thinking, how can I help out people who have drug addictions and alcoholism, what would you say to them? What advice would you have for them?
Look, compassion. I think it's so important as Christians is to look at people that are in need, look at them through the eyes of Jesus. And that's what I do. When I see a drug addict or an alcoholic or whatever, I don't see the filth. I see the potential that they could actually have. I already see them the way they could be. And that encourages me to get to them and to talk to them. And I make no distinction whether they're black, white, yellow or brindle, And God has given me a great love for those people, and having experienced it myself in my own life, being an ex, so I know what it means to be loved. And that's all. It's all people want. Just love, understanding. They don't want to be Bible-based. They don't want to be told what to do. Don't take drugs. Well, they already know that. That it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But we need to offer them a way out and to give them a light where they can. They need to see the light on the end of the tunnel, but it's not the train coming. It should be actually the light of the world.
Yes. Yeah. Well said.
And so I say to most Christians, get out of your comfort zone. Don't just spend all day at home or doing stuff. Get involved. Do stuff, and you will experience God's mercy, God's love, and God's supply in everything you do. And I'm still as excited as I was the first day when I went to Sherwood, when I went to the drug rehab. I'm still as excited today to see people's lives changed. And
now your daughter and your son-in-law are running the center?
Yes. My daughter and son-in-law have taken over management now. I'm 72 this year, so everybody's telling me, you've got to slow down. I said, I don't know what to slow down for, but it's a new generation, and so they're doing a great job. And I'm helping them every day. I'm in the background. They make their decisions, and I just try to be the support to them and do ministry all over the place. I do a fair bit of preaching around the place. Wherever people want me to come, I'll go.
And you also help out in schools?
Yeah, I'm a school counsellor on a Friday at the Christian Community High School in Coffs Harbour, where I mingle with 480 students and about 60 staff. And that's my job, just to encourage them and to be there if they're in need.
Wow. Thank you so much, John Reifler, for sharing your story with us today.
No worries, Eric. Pleasure to do that.
Pleasure to hear your stories. Thank you so much.
God bless you. All the best.
Well, that was the conclusion of Eric Scatterbo's conversation with John Reifler from from the Sherwood Christian Rehab Centre near Coffs Harbour in New South Wales. And before chatting with John, we also heard from his wife Honi a few programs ago. So it was great to get both of their perspectives on the wonderful way God worked in their lives to get their drug rehab centre up and running. Also, it was great to hear how their daughter and son-in-law are now providing leadership for the ministry and are continuing the legacy of helping people. And that is fantastic. Well, if you'd like to contact John and Honi, you can reach them through their website, sherwoodcliffs.com.au. That's sherwoodcliffs.com.au. Also, Honi has written a book about the numerous miracles of God they've seen over the years at their centre called Countless, which is available online. Finally, the Bible says, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels in heaven over one sinner who repents. And thanks to the Sherwood Christian Rehab Centre, there have been many angels rejoicing over the years, with many lives changed. A wonderful legacy for all involved. Well, thanks for joining us for the conclusion of the Sherwood Christian Rehab Centre story. I'm Jimmy Colefax, encouraging you to share your story with someone today.
Next time on The Story.
And suddenly it hit me, just a minute, this hobby you've got, photography, you're spending all your time and money on that. How much are you giving to the Lord? So I gave away the cameras, I gave away darkroom equipment, and said, right, I've become a Christian, I have no time for this sort of stuff, it's become a god, and I just want to serve the Lord.
Award-winning Christian photographer Raymond Williams joins us next time to give us an overview of his amazing life journey. He's photographed everyone from Cliff Richards to Princess Diana and has taken photos of historically significant events like the 1968 Billy Graham Crusade and Cyclone Tracy in Darwin in 1974. Raymond will share all the stories behind the photos next time.
The Story. Just another way Vision is connecting faith to life.